Hello, my friends. It's Matthew Street. Welcome to my channel. As always, I truly appreciate you being here, folks. And folks, this is a tough video to make because I'm just the passage of the years, and I'm just getting more heartbroken and heartbroken over losing so many of the musical artists that I grew up with and loved so much. I'm just getting tired and burned out of it. I'm sure you are too, folks. And I understand the years are flying by. We're all getting older, and these types of things have to happen or do happen. But man, it seems like just yesterday, and it was a year ago, that I was here making a video about losing Eric Carmen from the Raspberries, one of my favorite artists of all time. And now here I am again. And you've already heard the news if you keep a keen eye out there for what's happening in the music world. But, man, April 6th, we lost just yesterday Clem Burke. Clem Burke, drummer extraordinaire. Folks, I don't know why, but every time this happens, it takes a chunk out of me, folks. It's heartbreaking. The first time for me where somebody we lost in the music world that had an effect on me was way back in 1977 when we lost Elvis. That had an effect on me. And then 3 years later, need I even tell you what happened in December of 1980, which utterly shattered me. And to this day, it has had, the loss of John had an effect on me, and still to this day, if I think about it long enough, can have an effect on me emotionally. It's just devastating. And we can go through the years of the big names we've lost, the mid-range names of people we've lost in the music world. Another big one for me was in 1997 with John Denver. People like Adam Schlesinger just 5 years ago, we lost from COVID. Fountains of Wayne, another artist. I could go on and on. Jim Ellison from Material Issue took his own life years ago. Oh my goodness. I could go on and on. It breaks my heart. But losing Clem Burke is another big one for me, folks, because Clem, he's been a part of, either briefly or long-term, with so many artists that I love. That backbeat from Clem was there. And I have been a fan of his, one of my favorite rock and roll drummers since I was a teenager, folks. Born November 24th, 1954, just 70 years old, folks. He'd be celebrating his 71st birthday later this year. And apparently he was battling a private battle with cancer, and he just succumbed to it. Born in New Jersey, he's a Jersey boy. As you know, the big thing with Clem was Blondie. I mean, Clem and Blondie go together like peas and carrots, man. I mean, he joined them in 1975 as a young 20-year-old, whatever he was at the time. And he was with Blondie, played on every single Blondie record, right up to their most recent one. And as recent as last year, 2024, was doing concerts with Blondie. So Clem was so dedicated to that band, and he was rock solid on the drums, man. He was just the best. Clem could do it all, folks. I mean, he was Keith Moon, but he was so much more than Keith Moon 2.0. He could do so many things that Keith Moon could never do. And I want to attribute that to my friend Rich out there, Wink55. Thank you, Rich, because you nailed it so well, and I feel the exact same way. Clem was Keith Moon, but he was so much more. He was beyond Keith Moon. Could do so many things Keith could never do. Brief time he played with the Fleshtones. He's done stuff with the Romantics. He played on a few songs on the Romantics' final album, 6149. This is the most recent Romantics album from like 20 years ago. He also played on the entire Romantics release called Made in Detroit. There's Clem right over here. Clem Burke is on the Romantics, Made in Detroit, and he does a great job on that one as well. Also, brief stints with Dramarama. If you're a fan of that band, I am. He played on one of their albums as well, and I have the album. I just couldn't find it, but I do have it. He did a brief live stint with the Go-Go's. When Gina Schock was sick or ill at the time, Clem stepped in. Also, and I'm going to tell you about this, he also played 2 shows with the Ramones. And I'm going to tell you about that in a minute, because guess what? Matthew Street, it was the one and only time I had the opportunity to see Clem Burke live with the Ramones. And I'll tell you about that in 1 minute. But last but not least, I want to tell you about the other band he played with, which is his most recent dedicated band where he was a full-time member, and that's the Empty Hearts. Clem played with the Empty Hearts on 2 of their LPs. Well, they're only 2 LPs. And they're great power pop rock and roll albums. This was the second one. I'm sorry. I apologize. It's just called the second album. There's Clem there. This was like a power pop super group. You had Wally Palmer from the Romantics. All right. You had Andy Babiak from the Chesterfield Kings. And you have the great need I say more, Elliot Easton from the Cars, also in the Empty Hearts. What a fabulous, wonderful band. They even had Ringo Starr play drums on one of their songs. This is their second album, but here's the first one. Supergroup, man. Supergroup. And Clem fit right into that, man, because he was a superstar, in my opinion. So I wanted to show you that. The Empty Hearts. Check out their 2 albums with Clem Burke. Absolutely fabulous. But let me go back for a minute, because my memory of Clem is playing drums with the Ramones. And I'll show you the ad that I have up here. Clem, Richie Ramone, as you know, the original drummer was Tommy Ramone. After Tommy Ramone left, Marky Ramone came in on drums. Marky had a little troubles, though. By 1983 or so, Marky was having a little trouble with the booze, okay? So Marky kind of got released from the band, and or fired, however you want to look at it. And Richie Ramone stepped in. Richie was a great drummer, great for the Ramones, but after 3 or 4 albums, Richie got burned out. There's a lot of issues. You could read up on that, what happened with Richie. But Richie walked away and left them cold when they had shows to do, and Richie just took off. Well, they didn't know what to do. There was talk that Marky might come back, but in the interim, until Marky eventually did come back, till the end of their career in 1996, Clem Burke stepped in and filled in for a couple of shows till Marky could get his act, get back to the band and get his act together. So Clem Burke stepped in, and he was called for that brief period Elvis Ramone, which is great. And Clem sat in on drums for 2 concerts, one of being in Providence, Rhode Island, which I had the opportunity to see. Now, the 2 dates were August 28th, 1987, and August 29th, 1987. The second one, the final one with Clem, was in Trenton, New Jersey. I saw the one on August 28th, 1987 in Providence, Rhode Island at a rock and roll staple in Providence, the club known as the Living Room. It was in an old attached building to an old factory in Providence, Rhode Island, a real dank, dangerous part of Providence back in the day. But I went, and I'll show you an image of the Living Room as it stood. It's the white brick building attached to the factory. You'll see it here. And that has since been totally revamped and revised. Providence has had a renaissance. They tore down that white part where the Living Room Rock Club was. That's gone. That's a parking lot now. But the foundry, the factory part, has been made and renovated into high-end luxury apartments. So go figure. But when I went to see the Ramones with Clem Burke for that one show, it was a scary area, folks. It was like, get in, get out, don't mess around. But anyway, folks, I just wanted to pay tribute to Clem, that I did get to see him live that one time. Not with Blondie, not with the Romantics, with the Ramones. One of the 2 shows he played with the Ramones. And folks, some people say, they got rid of him quick because he wasn't up to snuff. He didn't cut the mustard. Clem Burke, not cutting the mustard. I'm sorry, folks. I was there. I saw it. And Clem did just fine with the Ramones. As far as I could see and what I saw, he was fine as Elvis Ramone. He did a great job that night at the living room. But I think Marky was planning on coming back in a more permanent fashion. Once Richie left, they made arrangements to get Marky back, and Marky did come back. But Clem filled in for those 2 nights, and I'm so proud and happy that I got to see him at one of those 2 shows as a Ramone. Elvis Ramone. So, folks, I want to get out of here. I just want to let you know I'm so sad about losing Clem, but he's had such a wonderful, wonderful legacy that he's left behind of his wonderful music with so many great artists, and certainly the staples being Blondie, which was his long-term band, but also the Empty Hearts, which is his most recent band, and the band he was still with and made 2 albums with. So that's it, folks. Remember Clem Burke. Go listen to some of his music. There's a lot of it out there. You won't be sorry. One of the greatest rock and roll drummers of all time. Not only that, just one of the greatest drummers of all time. Rest in peace, Clem. We're going to miss you. Love you all, folks. Thanks for being here. Bye-bye.